Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity just to stop by. What a wonderful story. Scott, what a wonderful story. It's one of those things that back in 2007, when I was first starting to learn about Marcellus Shale in Williamsport, a good friend of mine, John Morant, who's here somewhere, I think John's in the back, started telling me about it also. We started taking a look at it. And obviously, in the 6 years since we have first seen it, we've seen the impact that it has had all across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and frankly, all across the nation and really in the world. We have gone from a net importer of natural gas now to a net exporter of natural gas. And if you follow the newspapers, he's still the mayor. Mayor Bloomberg, a couple of weeks ago, said that he wanted to see 2 million homes, 2 million residences in the city of New York being converted over to natural gas. Well, where are they going to get that natural gas? They're going to get it right here in Pennsylvania. Because we know what they're not doing in New York State. That being the case, I'm very happy to see that. And it is just an example of how natural gas, for many different uses, is growing across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We are that net exporter of natural gas here throughout the entire United States, and someday it'll be beyond that, but that's a good story for another day. I do want to thank you, Scott, for allowing us to stop by. We're going to visit with some of your employees here in a little bit. I think you said your number went up to 385. Is that what I heard?
335.
335. Okay, 335. That's a huge growth. And there are other industries, other companies, excuse me, in the Marcellus region, that the exact same thing is happening because of the potential that we have with energy. Many times, I remind people that I have a very simple equation. Energy equals jobs. And I think it's so very important. And you couldn't pick a better place to demonstrate that than right here at Linde. That energy has equaled to jobs and has grown at a company that was in one field, working on pipes, still doing pipes, but in another field. And it's, I dare say it's going to be more than 35 or 50 years. It's going to be multiple generations and the conversations I've had with people in the energy industry that will continue to grow. So thank you for allowing us to be here. To the employees, we haven't had a chance to come back and see you. That is the most colorful piece of equipment I've ever seen. Who gets to drive that one? Is he back there? I'm going to come back and see you in a little bit. Thank you for allowing us to take a little bit of your time. And I want to talk to you about the story of natural gas and how it's affecting you here in Pennsylvania. And then I do want to thank a number of my supporters who are here. I'm not going to thank them. I'm going to thank one because he got most of you here, and that's Pat Solano. Pat Solano Pat has been an advisor. He told me I'm his 10th governor that I've been an advisor to. I called him last night on a subject that was non-political, and he thought I was calling on the election results. I said, no, I want to talk about something else. At some point in time, you all will be let in on the secret that I was talking to him about. But he has been a good friend and a trusted advisor to many governors, both Republican and Democrat, but particularly me, and I want to thank him for all his support. And there's a group of guys that come with him, and I want to thank all of them for being here today. And for you taking the time out of your busy schedules to come out and hear a few words from me. I do have to thank the most important person in my life, though, who's here with me, who accepted a date with me back in 1968. We have been together ever since. We got married in December of 1972. We've raised 2 children. We now have an adopted grandson, Liam, and that's my wife, Susan, who's here with me first. And obviously, one of the reasons we're here, we started off today, and we're going on a multiple-day trip around the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to repeat some of what I said earlier today in the Heinz History Center in the city of Pittsburgh, which is my hometown. That's the location that I began my campaign for governor 4 years ago, almost to the day. And it's the location that I announced again that Jim Colley and I will be running for me for governor, him for lieutenant governor. I wasn't going to say it the other way around. You guys are allowed to laugh at that.
No, I remember that.
And a lot of people knew we were going to talked about this, but it's a formal, with the election being completed yesterday for this cycle, the new cycle begins, and I am pleased to be able to tell you that I am running for governor for one more term here in the Commonwealth. You know, when Jim and I took office, we inherited a problem. We inherited a couple of problems. And we took a look at them, and we dealt with them exactly how we promised that we would do. I told you what I was going to do, and we've done it. And a lot of people were kind of surprised that we did it. I guarantee you there were many people in Harrisburg that were a little surprised at the promises we made that we were going to live within our budget. They were more surprised, because we did live within our budget. We had a $4.2 billion deficit. 4.2. We had increased the size of the budget of Pennsylvania by almost $8 billion in 8 years. The problem is we were spending more money than we had each year. And the last year really put us over the top, and that $4.2 billion deficit is what we had to dig out of. If you recall, we had a campaign bus. On one side of the bus, it had a picture of Jim Cawley and I, and we apologize for making you look at us in that picture. But on the other side was the very important message that we were putting out. It's a message we've lived by ever since. And that's more jobs, less taxes. More jobs, less taxes. I can stand here before you today and say the new bus that's out there right now, and in the signs that you will see, has added 2 words. More jobs, less taxes, promises kept. Because we keep it. We keep our promise by saying we were going to reduce the spending and bring the spending under control and only spend that which we have. And that's what we have done. Contrary to what some people would like us to do is to raise taxes to fix every problem, we haven't raised taxes. We've reduced the spending. In fact, we reduced the spending more in my first budget, the first year, to a level of 40 years ago. To a level of 40 years ago. Wow. And we've grown back. But that first budget went to the level of 40 years ago. There are many people in this room that weren't here 40 years ago. 40 years ago, we had just gotten through the big flood that came through. And we got back to that level of reducing our spending. We've taken the size of state government to a level that it hasn't seen for 50 years. We reduced it back to 50 years. Wow. Why? Because it's your money. It's not our money. We don't print money like they do in Washington, and as you can see, they continue to do in Washington. We have to be responsible stewards of people's money, and that's exactly what we are doing. That's a promise that we have been able to keep, and we will able to keep doing. Now, it hasn't been easy. There are, if you ask me, was it an easy thing to do? No, it wasn't an easy thing to do. Are there people that really aren't wild about that? Yeah, there are. The people who are used to state government taxing and spending and taxing and spending, taking your money and spending it over and over again, taking what isn't your money, what is your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren's money, and spending it, yeah, they're upset at what we're doing. But I made a promise to you. I made a promise that we were going to stick within our fiscal budget, and that's exactly what we have done.
Thanks.
Now, we've been able to grow it back a little bit, but that's all that we're doing, is growing it back within the revenue that we are receiving. And we are receiving that revenue, slowly but surely. This industry, Lindy is an example of one of the industries in Pennsylvania that are growing. We're growing through the natural gas industry and through the energy industry. It's the energy industry across the state. It's not just gas. It's coal. It's nuclear. It's wind. It's solar. It's hydro. We're embracing it all. But at the same time, we're keeping the promise that we would do it in a way that keeps our commitment to the environment. We passed legislation that's been some of the toughest legislation in the nation when it comes to environmental protection. We did that because it was a promise we made, and it was a promise that I kept. This all could not have been done just by me. We had to do it with our great team in the legislature. We've had bipartisan legislation. We've gotten budgets done. We've reduced the taxes. And oh, by the way, we promised to reduce taxes. We promised to reduce taxes because that allows businesses to grow. And businesses grow and hire employees. private sector employees. And that was the goal that I had and continue to have, to grow the private sector, to allow people like Scott to go out there and hire people and have them come and work in the private sector, have them have a good job that they have right here with Linda. And that was exactly the goal that we have and we continue to have, to grow the private sector. And you want proof of that? 141,000 more private sector jobs today than the day I took office. I think that's proof. Exactly. Small business, the family farms, huge components of our economy. We reduce the taxes on them by eliminating the inheritance tax, both on the family farm and the small family business, the LLC, to allow them to keep the money and pass those businesses on to the next generation. That's how you grow an economy. You don't grow it through taxing. You grow it by allowing the economy, letting the businesses grow on their own. I could go on, and I went on much longer in my last speech today. It was a much longer speech, but I'm keeping this short because I just wanted to thank you for coming out here today, for working with us. We promised you that we would work on growing the economy. I can't do it by myself. We need you. We actually need the private sector to grow the economy. What we can do is get out of the way of the private sector, fulfill our responsibilities to the people, fulfill our regulatory responsibilities in a fair and equitable manner, giving a level playing field, not as an adversary, but as a partner in growing the business. We can do that. We can't do it through adding more taxes. We don't need to add more taxes. What we need to do is take care of the responsibilities we spend within our means. I want to thank you for coming out here today and taking some time with me. We are going to win in November of 2000.